Good day, everybody. Welcome to a Mazda CX-5. Yes, it's back. Mazda is continuing to sell the Mazda CX-5 for 2024. It's back. It rides along, sells alongside the CX-50. And Mazda's not going to do anything with this. This is their bread and butter. And the question is should you get a CX-50? Should you get a CX-5? Should Mazda get rid of the CX-5? How's it compared to the CX-50? And we're going to try to go into all those today. The first things first, though, is there is very good reason for this CX-5 to continue to exist. Number one is just look at it. It's perfectly sized. It's perfectly packaged. It doesn't need to be any bigger. Mazda gave you the CX-50 if you need a little bit something longer. This is easy to park. It's a great urban vehicle. It's got a good all-wheel drive system. Now that's standard. This is actually a 2021 with 40-some thousand miles on it, and it looks and drives great. The second reason Mazda needs to keep selling this is, well, there's so much demand in this market for small crossovers. There's plenty of room for a CX-50 and a CX-5 to coexist. Again, this is a 2021. I think it's a Grand Touring. It's pretty high level trim. Two-wheel drive. That's pretty unique now. There comes standard with all-wheel drive. And I think for 2024, maybe even last year, they got rid of the black cladding on most vehicles. So this sells like hotcakes from Mazda. There's a lot of reasons why. It's amazing, just like the CX-9 is, how good this competes with all those fresh, shiny new models out there. So let's just take a quick look at this. This one has, again, I think these are right size. They don't need to keep getting bigger. I think this is the one to get over the CX-30 because you do have really usable storage back here. You know, some carryovers from that older architecture is a 60, 40, 20, 40 fold down. You get really nice release levers back here. You don't see that in everything. You get a nice low load floor. You do have a spare tire under here, so that is always good. Much like the CX-9, everything you touch in here is solid, high quality. This just puts a lot of the competition to shame. You get really comfortable seats back here. Not huge amounts of leg room, but again, that's the price you pay for having something that's just a tad smaller and very maneuverable. But everything is very nice back here. Rear vents, and here's the big thing, thunk. You get very solid thunk with this Mazda CX-5. Again, you can just tell the similarities and the family DNA it's sharing with the CX-9. Here's another place that looks just like the CX-9, the center pull down, because there's your two USBs. You get two of them, which is great, but they are kind of buried in this center console. So I'm not sure people need to store stuff if they're riding in the back. It's kind of crazy. Little kind of phone holder there, maybe cup holders. Again, this Grand Touring trim level has pretty much everything. You even have a power driver seat over here. No lumbar on that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the interior on the drive as we get out there. But as you can tell, you can see a lot of, this is, again, they changed everything for the CX-50. This design still looks fresh. Let's see what a 45,000 mile, oh, that's a heavy hood. Good grief. Holy smolies. That's heavier than the CX-9. There's what a 45,000 mile CX-5 motor looks like. This is the ubiquitous 2.5 4-cylinder, 187-ish horsepower and 180 some pound-feet of torque it's putting out, and it pushes this two-wheel drive around just fine. But look at the sound insulation. That makes a big difference when you're driving this, as you'll see out on the road. Hopping into the driver's side here. Okay, a little bit of storage here. Again, it's amazing. This is like you're sitting in a CX-9. You got your scroll wheel here. Not going to go into this infotainment system today. I do have a link to a video because we own a Mazda. We own a Mazda 3 at this point in time, and I do have a couple tutorial videos on how to use this system. So I'm not going to go into that, but you do have your parking brake here, auto hold, your sport button. You see this in every Mazda. Good storage down here and excellent HVAC controls. It's been blazing hot this week, and this air conditioning, I would give it a B. Pretty small glove box down here, some nice kind of faux materials there, but everything in a Mazda is just top quality. Seating position, awesome. Very good seating position in the CX-5. I think that's one of the reasons that people like this as they sit in it, because visibility out the back is excellent. You get these very big mirrors. I love these mirrors. They're great when you're out driving in traffic. Obviously there's probably some aerodynamic penalty there. We do have a Bose 10 speaker system in here that sounds superb. The seats in here versus the CX-50, these are softer, these are more plush. I find them a little bit more comfortable on the bottoms than the CX-50, but not as much bolstering. These are a little bit more less aggressive seating in general. Now there's three things we'll talk about on the drive. And we'll talk about this as a used vehicle. This one, again, almost 50,000 miles. That's the first thing we'll talk about. And it is solid. This drives like it rolled off the lot, and it actually drives better than most of the new stuff out there in this segment. I love the CR-V, don't get me wrong. I love the RAV4, but when you hop from one of those new into one of these used, you know, get yourself a used one of these. Obviously you're not going to have warranty. That's the only reason new is good sometimes, is you do get that warranty, but you can save a little bit of money. I don't know where the used car market's going these days, given how crazy it has been. You wouldn't expect a car not to drive well with only 50,000 miles, but there's no rattles, there's no creaks, the engine is very responsive, it idles well, and everything's wearing well. This car, you know, 50,000 miles, you would expect to see maybe some seat wear, some paint wear. I didn't find any chips on the front. Everything is just bolted really well together. These CX-5s have always led reliability. They've always been tops. They're built in Japan, and it's a world car, so really well sorted. So we'll also talk a little bit about this, how it rides and drives versus the CX-50. I do have a couple CX-50 vids out there. I'll link them up below and down in the description. I like the CX-50, do not get me wrong. I think it really comes down to preference between these two vehicles. Some very first observations. I've heard people say, reviewers say, that the CX-5 rides rougher. It's got a firmer suspension. I'm not agreeing with that. What I think is going on here is the CX-5 has a shorter wheelbase, so it's a little bit more jittery. However, it does have a more sophisticated rear suspension. I like the torsion beam, I have no issues with it, but you can tell in the overall handling that this is just a little bit more lively of a car to drive. It's got a little bit more playfulness than the Mazda CX-50. So let's go down this pretty bumpy road right here. You can just throw this in the bumps and you're not going to worry about crashing, shuddering. It just absorbs them and soaks them up, but you do feel them. I think the CX-50, I think it definitely is a little smoother feeling, but I think that's because of the wheelbase, and I think the rear suspension doesn't give you as much motions as this multi-link does on the back. But this is just a lively handler. I mean, this thing it's amazing how much character this has. It feels tossable, it feels playful, it feels lighter. Again, I'm driving a two-wheel drive, so that's not totally a fair comparison. The other thing is this drives smaller. You know, dimensionally, everything is not a whole lot different between the two, but this does feel like a smaller car. They both have Mazda classic ride quality, and then you're just differentiating slightly between the two based on that rear torsion beam suspension. They're both very good, so we're kind of splitting hairs here. Steering wise, this is a little heavier steering. I think the new, like the CX-30, Mazda 3, the CX-50, they have a little bit more of a solid on center feel. I feel it's a little bit more direct, a tad more artificial feeling than this older architecture, the CX-5 and the CX-9. But I think this is a little bit heavier, but it's not heavy uncomfortable. I've seen some folks complain that this is just, in parking situations, this is fine. I don't find this heavy at all. Handling wise, I would put them both on par with each other. I would say that this one here, put this one a little bit more spirited. As far as the interiors between the two, you know, it's it's a Coke or Pepsi thing. They're both excellent. I do think that this has a little bit higher quality materials. Again, it's been around a while. Mazda has quite figured out how to build this thing and make it nice. Now I'm going to demonstrate something that this is very, very good at, and that this thing is nimble. As far as, you know, just a really great, look at that. That's a great turning radius. Same thing with the CX-50, pretty decent, but this is shorter by about 4 or 5, 6 inches. So, and you can tell in a situation like that, and people eat these up because they are so easy and pleasant to drive, but it has a lot of personality. It reaches my threshold of, does it make you want to go for a drive for no reason? And the CX-5 and again the CX-50 do make you want to do that. Okay, let's get it up to speed. Yeah, it's fine. At least the engine doesn't feel like it's suffering. It's not complaining about it whatsoever. It's saying, hey, I ain't got much, but I'm eager to give you what I got. And so out here on the highway, you know, one quick complaint though, I'm trying to find something to fault this car. This signal stalk feels like it's low rent. I'm shocked by Mazda. Everything in here feels good to the touch, but this signal stalk for some reason is not good. This one feels great. It's just a turn signal stalk, whatever. So not a demerit, just something to point out that I want to find something to nitpick about. So out here on the highway, so amazing, the CX-5 has almost no wind noise. Even with these big mirrors, they've got that really well controlled. The engine is very isolated. It's a lot of insulation. You can tell they put between the firewall and the hood to isolate this engine, so it's pretty quiet. Road noise is acceptable. It's the only real source of noise. So let me just go ahead and, all right, there's 80. Very easy. You know, we can cruise at 80, 2400, 2500 RPMs. Extremely comfortable. Like I said, the only thing is a little bit of jitter as we go down this road, but this isn't the best road. This is kind of a jittery road that we're on right now. So very comfortable seats. Again, it's all about those seat bottoms. Nothing to really say about the Mazda safety suite here. It's all here. You got radar cruise control, the blind spot monitoring, already mentioned that. I'm not going to play the stereo. I don't have the binaurals going today. I think I've already mentioned that is top notch. Now, fuel economy wise, this is, I don't know, the trip computer's telling me over my last 140 miles, I'm doing about 23. I did fill it up once already and it said 24. I think this is rated overall for 28, two-wheel drive form. So, I don't think these crossovers, they're heavier, they're less aerodynamic, they're going to be a little bit more sensitive to how you drive them. So which would I get, the CX-5 or the CX-50? Well, before that, let me just go ahead and say that when it comes to the CX-5, I'm not sure there's too many cars out there where I just can't find any real fault with it. Yes, I wish the fuel mileage were better, but that's about it. I can't find, there's really nothing to complain about here. This actually satisfies its purpose in life, and it scores an A++ for what it's trying to be. So Mazda, keep this thing going. Now, would I get it this or a CX-5? Would I get this or the CX-50? Me personally, I still like the CX-50. I love how it looks. I like that it feels a little bit bigger, but keep it rugged, keep improving its all-wheel drive capability. Make this the city one, make it luxury, make it sporty to drive, and I think these two can sit beside each other just fine. But we want to know what you think. Do you own one of these? Are you trying to shop right now? Are you torn? Are you on the fence about which one to buy? Let us know your experiences with any Mazdas. Check out all of our other videos at Beyond the Test Drive. Give this a thumbs up today if we've provided any value, and we would love for you to subscribe. So thanks again for watching today, and have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.